Dear readers slash audience members, as you look through these photos, you'll see a hardworking Christian grandpa whose average day is much different than others. I want to show a lifestyle I love, admire, and long for. Throughout my life, I've looked up to my grandpa, Jimmy Watson, and we call him Papa. I've always wanted to be like him. He is 74 years old and still is one of the hardest workers I know. These aspirations have led me to want to learn more about what he does and why he does it. I want you, the audience, to see why I admire my grandpa and his lifestyle, and show how hard my 74-year-old grandpa still works. My grandparents bought 100 acres in 1998 when they originally were going to live on the lake. T.W. Myrick divided his land into two 100-acre plots, or a 100-acre plot and a 50-acre plot, and left it to his family. My grandparents' farmhouse is one of the 50-acre tracts, and it was farmed and grazed as well as timbered. Their farmhouse sits where a farm field was. The barn sits on a site of an old log house. As quoted from my grandma, when our daughters finished high school, we didn't have to live close to Roanoke Rapids anymore, so we decided to build a house on Lake Gaston. We had a nice lot to build on next to my parents. We were standing on the lot looking at the water, and I was so excited. I always wanted to live on the lake. We had selected our house plans and could start building soon. But Jimmy said, "This is not what I want to do," which was shocking because he seemed excited up to this statement. He said he wanted space, land, horses, and a tractor more than he wanted water. When I recovered from the conversation, the Lord helped me let go of my dream and started looking for land with him. After months of searching, Jimmy found 50 acres on the road that led to our lake lot. We sold the lake property to my parents to prevent neighbors from being too close. We purchased our farm and started clearing a pasture. Next, Jimmy began to build a barn. My father, a retired general contractor, kept a watchful eye on the project to check engineering and codes. Jimmy had only built a doghouse up to this point, so Dad he was a little bit worried. Jimmy was filled with determination and vision for our new homestead and worked diligently until we could get approval from Halifax County to start building our house. In the meantime, I was designing and working on plans and blueprints. The barn was underway and construction was beginning on the house when Jimmy went to Missouri looking for two Missouri Foxtrotters to buy. We were getting horses that only had been a dream before now. I couldn't wait because I was teaching school, supervising the project, and helping with my sweet mother-in-law who had Alzheimer's. I reluctantly stayed home. 10 days later, Jimmy returned with our first animals, Bo and Drummer, who were wonderful equine additions to our family. Our daughters were in college and finishing their education, so we all had a fun time enjoying horseback riding together. We took the horses to the mountains to ride in national parks, and we took them in historical landmarks and battlefields. It was a fun time in our lives. The Lord certainly blessed us. Thank you, Jesus. I know that God, in his loving goodness and grace, provided this land and lifestyle for us to enjoy with our family. It is not an easy life because there is much work to do. We live on about 300 acres, some with low maintenance and some with high maintenance. My ancestors were farmers in much harder times and another century, but I feel strong love and connection to them through the land, the trees we grow, and the sky we share with all of mankind. Now, I can't imagine living any other way. Thanks be to God. All praise and glory to him. That was a brief history of the farm from my grandmother, Susan Watson. Now I hope you enjoy my project. So every morning my grandfather wakes up and does a Bible study. So he first gets up and gets his gas station coffee. He sits down and does a Bible study every morning. As of the moment, he's reading through the Gospel of John, which talks about how Jesus is the only source of life, not just life, but eternal life. Jesus is a big part of his and my grandparents' lives. They have always taught us how to walk in our faith. Throughout the entire course of my life, I've looked up to both of them for this reason. They love the Lord more than anything, which shows in their daily lives. I am so grateful to have grandparents who love the Lord as much as they do. The horses. In this photo, Papa is doing one of the daily feedings. It's the right one with the right there. He's moving into the other pasture where there's fresh grass. The horses are very high maintenance and take much taken care of. You have to brush them, feed them, move them, chase them, and even talk to them. Horses are a very big part of my grandparents' life. They both grew up familiar with horses, especially my grandma. She had a horse named Smoky Joe, a golden horse trained for a man. He was big, strong, and ready to run, but Sisu got him anyway. Sadly, Papa did not have a horse. but he always wanted one. His family was very poor and could not afford one. For the majority of his middle school age, Papa slept in a closet with his feet up against the wall because he was so small. I remember them telling me a story when they were in high school, and Papa always had a very big crush on Susu. He always asked if he could ride with her on the horse, but she would always say no. One time he asked her if he could ride double, and she said, "Smokey Joe doesn't ride double," and rode off, leaving the dust swirling and twirling around him. But regardless of Susan not wanting him to be near her, he would run beside her and Smokey Joe every single day going to school. Finally, Papa got her attention after running with her to school every day, and they now have been married for 50 years. They always talk about how horses are not like dogs or cats. They are herbivores, not predators. Because of this, they believe that they can form a better relationship with them because they don't hunt for food. Since you also can't ride a cat or a dog, this makes horses a great option since you can ride them. While they're great for fun, they can also help around the farm by plowing or pulling or just riding them. Horses have always been a big part of their lives and will continue to be until they die. Lots of driving. My grandpa does a lot of driving. Every day, Papa drives a lot. Driving is a big part of his life. He is a forester, which means he drives to a plot of land that could be an hour away or more, and then walks the whole property, which is called cruising timber. It can be dangerous because he's in deep woods and sometimes in a swamp far from where anyone can help him. Even at 75 years old or 74 years old, he still walks miles through the woods and drives hours each day to provide for his family. But mainly now, it's just because he doesn't want to get bored. When he gets to be alone in the broad and vast woods that God so precisely created, feels closer to the Lord and his creation. I admire this unrelenting work ethic. I hope I can one day have the type of mindset that will allow me to work as hard as he does. Even amid trial or blessings, he gives glory to the Lord, and I admire that. Farm maintenance. There's always something to fix or do at the farm. So even when Papa gets home and is tired, he still has lots to do. Whether it be fixing a broken axle on the Ranger, putting a new battery in the four-wheelers, or Susu pressing him to get rid of a pile of branches he left in the middle of the pasture. While all of these things are very annoying, the worst of all is when you start doing something like changing the oil in the tractor and you realize that you ran out of motor oil, now you have to drive 30 minutes just to get oil, or when you're about to cut up a dead tree with a chainsaw and the chainsaw breaks, now you have to get new parts. So you must always get used to the unexpected to live this lifestyle. That is another example of my grandfather's work ethic. Many people on this earth would not walk miles through the woods each day and then come home and do a bunch of chores and manual labor. Papa is one of those people who likes to get stuff done himself. He doesn't rely on anyone except Jesus and himself. He knows he can get it done. Family. That is my whole family. That's my grandpa, grandma, and then my sister, Anna Scott, me in the red, and then my cousin Howard. At the drop of a hat, he will be there for her family. He's a selfless person who shows the love of the Lord to all around him. He's always there to support my family and cousins wherever and whenever. When I was playing football, I would always look into the stands for him to smile and wave with joy and support. He drives an hour and a half to watch my sister ride horses for just 5 minutes and then drives all the way back home. He'll watch a movie he doesn't like with Howard and then fall asleep within 5 minutes. But just the fact that he's there means a lot. He always sends flowers and chocolate to my mom and sister every Valentine's Day. And most importantly, he's a great supporting husband who shows so much love to his wife of 50 years. Even if they pick on each other, their love for the Lord and each other will never fail. In conclusion, I greatly admire my grandfather. He's a man of God who walks his faith, has many passions, is one of the hardest workers I know, and cares for his family no matter what. Not a day will go by where he will not stand firm in the Lord, and I will continue to look up to him just like when I was a little boy wearing a coon hat, just wanted to be like Papa. Thank you.
Clap him out. That is awesome.